Let's talk about overcoming arguments. So, recently, God has been dealing with me about how the enemy will start arguments using one person to trigger another person. And that's basically the two people are actually going back and forth with each other. It is very important to see the work of the devil. The most powerful thing that a wife can do is to be able to discern Satan in his when he is in operation. So the enemy loves to start arguments to create division and separation. And if you do not shut it down, the arguments are going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And you will eventually be operating with the spirit of anger, saying and doing things that you would normally never say or do. So I can be transparent and say that this is something that I actually dealt with. And the arguments would always be a result of what is unresolved in our hearts or anything that we're going through within ourselves that we have not submitted unto Christ. So the devil loves to operate off of legal ground and, territories and things, areas in our life that we have not submitted off to God. And he tries to either manipulate emotions that we don't pray about, or our thoughts, or even praying for our spouse. He will try to do that. And what he does is he will start the smallest arguments, okay? And he will work through one person to trigger the other person, and eventually it's a full-blown argument. So again, arguments come from areas in our lives or in our hearts, in our emotions, in our affections that we have not surrendered to Christ, or situations that we're holding on to and we're not asking God for solution. Okay, always remember that it is you, God, and your spouse in a marriage. It's not just you and that person. It is you, God, and their spouse. And if the other person is coming at you, I'm going to tell you what I do, or what I was doing. I would always go to God and tell God to remove the anger, remove the offense, remove it, because I know that the enemy just wants me to be angry. So I would always tell God to just remove it from my heart so that I can respond in a way that works. But when the enemy would use my husband against me, I used to just wage war against the spirit that was in operation. I did not wage war against my husband, but I waged war against the spirit in operation. And God would defend me, in the mind of my husband. And then I would get an apology, or, these things will become aware. Okay. So that is a way that you want to be able to overcome arguments. All right. The devil is the devil. It's not your spouse. It is the enemy, and the enemy will use them to trigger things in you, and then you go off, and then you set yourself back, and it's like you got to pull yourself up again. It's like, oh, I messed up. Even if you was to go off, God already knew you was going to do that. So he's already created a solution. But this is a learning opportunity for you to get it right and not allow your emotions to control you. So I wanted to make this video, and I really pray that it blesses you, because this is something that God had to teach me with me and my spouse. So because we used to argue a lot, and I had to get to the root cause of it all. If you are new to my page, my name is Ray, and I have an ebook called Uprooting the Other Woman that is literally tearing down the kingdom of darkness when it comes to ungodly connections in marriage. If you are struggling with a strange woman or another woman trying to, infiltrate your marriage, God told me to write a book called Uprooting the Other Woman. And that book has a lot of biblical prayers that will teach you how to war as a spouse and your spiritual authority as a wife. With that ebook comes a discounted ebook called Praying Him Through a Double Mind, because you have to pray for your husband's mind, because that is where everything is. And all of that is in the link in my bio. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.